Hey folks, this is Curtis Brown, your professor for the course and the city manager. And so just want to give some highlights for week 4, September 18th through September 24th. I did change some of this, which I'll do from time to time. In this case, the main focus, because there was a delay, is to complete the quiz, which is due tomorrow, Thursday at 6 p.m. You also still have a discussion question that is based on the reading related to planning. And so as you look at the course, the first couple of weeks, what I wanted you to do was to focus on assessing the risks for your jurisdiction. Many of y'all, the way you came up with these jurisdictions is because you said that they were your favorite places. Now, as a tourist or a visitor, sometimes you don't look at some of the risks associated with some of these places, but taking an emergency management framework and doing some research, now you understand that a lot of our favorite places are prone to both man-made and natural disasters. And so as an emergency manager and as someone involved in public safety, you constantly are focused on what are the threats and risks that exist. So the first few weeks we're really focused on setting the stage for what we're going to talk about now is preparedness and planning. So after you have assessed the threat and the risk, it's now your responsibility to plan and to prepare for the potential of these disasters occurring. For instance, over the last couple of years, everyone has realized the threat of an active shooter, someone who comes into a public place with a long gun and shoots up the place. And so DHS and a lot of local governments, state government has been practicing what to do with an active shooter. And some of that relates to how do we prepare citizens for active shooters. So DHS has developed a concept called run, hide, fight for an active shooter. If you can run, go ahead and run. If you can hide, try to find the best place to hide. And then unfortunately, if you're in a situation where you're close to the shooter, you might have to fight. So again, that's just an example of one of those threats that have been more dominant over the last couple of years that every emergency management public safety official is aware of and has to plan for. And so in your role as the emergency manager for your jurisdiction, you assess the threats and hazards. Now you begin to design a preparedness strategy, and you plan for dealing with those multiple threats and hazards. So this week you'll be reading chapter 4 in the discipline of emergency management preparedness. It'll highlight a couple of concepts, the whole of community approach. Government cannot do preparedness alone. It requires collaboration, state, federal, local government, along with the private sector. The private sector owns a lot of our critical infrastructure, our energy, water, our internet networks, etc. So they have a role in preparedness, especially as we think about the cyber threat. They have a huge responsibility. Just recently, Equifax had got hacked, and they're a private entity and they got hacked, and so now the government is going to look at how to ensure data, sensitive data of citizens, which is in the hands of the private sector. Nonprofits are very important. Faith-based organizations, as well as the Red Cross, do a lot of humanitarian activity. And then an area which I think is lost a lot of times is the role of the citizen. Citizens have a very important responsibility in preparedness. Citizens should be prepared to have 3 days to be on their own, to have adequate food, water, and medicine. Clearly, not everyone can afford that. We do have a population of folks who would definitely need government support and assistance. But you have to ask yourself, are you prepared for a disaster? And do you have a go bag in your car? Does your family have a plan, preparedness plan, and what you would do in an emergency? So this week, again, focus on moving from assessing threats and risks for your jurisdiction to preparing and planning. And so we'll stay on this topic for 2 more weeks, I believe. Well, yeah, well, this week and next week. And because again, I want you to get down the difficult nature of planning for these hazards. It's an important role, and it helps you to understand emergency management and the collaborative nature of emergency management, because it requires public safety, law enforcement, fire, emergency management, and EMS and health to support what we'll talk about soon, which will be response. But right now we're in the planning stage. You also should complete the independent study certificate, emergency planning, which again will provide you with good insight on the considerations and the skills that you need for planning for these various hazards. So, good luck with the quiz. Send me an email if you have any questions. And again, I do plan to hopefully before Sunday post a couple of examples that I will write that demonstrate good examples of memos. Because again, I still want to really hone in on this skill set, because no matter what job you have, I know a lot of y'all are interested in law enforcement and working for the feds. Memo writing and very brief reports are going to be a key skill set that you have to develop. And so I really want to work on that through this semester. So thank you, and again, look forward to hearing from you with any questions via email, reading your discussions. Again, remember to post your discussion, your initial post, and respond to 2 of your colleagues by Sunday. Thanks a lot, and have a good rest of the week.